Welcome to Community Roundtable. I'm Nick Burns from the SLCC Division of Communication and Performing Arts, and I'm your host as we explore topics of special interest and concern to the residents of the cities and all the unincorporated areas of Salt Lake County. And these are topics that we feel are equally important to the general public throughout all the state of Utah. And today, on Community Roundtable, let's celebrate the arts, specifically local theater. There's the new Eccles Theater, and that's been making a splash. But at the same time, there remains a truly energetic community theater scene here along the Wasatch Front. Some companies offer contemporary or experimental shows, while other companies put on traditional musicals. Altogether, many local theater companies offer opportunities for actors, for tech crews, for playwrights, and all this community theater gives audiences front row seats. So today, on Community Roundtable, it's community theater. And joining us, he is the Artistic and Executive Director of the Grand Theater, Seth Miller. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
And also with us from Salt Lake Acting Company, the Associate Artistic Director, Shannon Musgrave. Shannon, hi.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. So, Seth, let's just start with you in the Grand Theater. Keep the seats full, keep the doors open, keep the lights on. What's it take to make a viable community theater when we have so much good stuff going on?
We do. It's becoming increasingly sort of difficult the last couple of years to stay sort of relevant on the scene, especially for a theater of the grand size, because we are so large. And, 20 years ago, there wasn't really that much happening in the theater scene in Salt Lake, but it's just grown so much over the past few years. So we try to do, newer series and things to give our patrons a sort of a different experience. Our Backstage at the Grand series is a good example of that. Just something new and different rather than coming to see the same types of productions in the same situation that you have before. That's how we try to stay relevant.
So not another Brigadoon?
No. No.
Okay, just wondered. Well, I mean, because you're what, 1,100 seats?
1,100,
That's
yeah.
big for a community theater.
It is. It's quite large.
And that affects, it costs you more to get plays then, right? Because they charge by the seat?
Mm-hmm. It affects how much we pay for rights when we're applying for shows. And just the staffing needs are much larger when you have that many seats, from everything to, the ushers and front of house staff to the backstage guys, just because our house is so big.
Yeah. I'm going to get back to that notion of size, but Shannon, Salt Lake Acting Company. I will say the very first play I ever saw when I moved here was at Salt Lake Acting Company. Saturday's Voyeur, of course, is a huge moneymaker, probably your biggest.
It is.
But aside from Saturday's Voyeur every August, what about for you all? You're much smaller.
We are.
And you do things a little differently, it seems like.
Yeah, we are a specifically new play theater. So our seasons are full of brand new plays. Often
Local
world premieres, often local.
Okay.
We also belong to an organization called the National New Play Network, which is the region's theaters that are dedicated to new work. So we do things that are called rolling world premieres, where they start at one theater and go to a few others across the country.
With a local cast at each venue?
Each theater has their own cast and director and design team, but the same play.
So are you all the only people doing that kind of thing in this market?
I think so. Plan B does a lot of new work. They are strictly local, but they are associate members of the National New Play Network as well. So they're similar to our mission, but a little different in that they are strictly local, and we also have a more national.
You can connect nationally with new playwrights. So Plan B is a good example. There may be 100 seats in their black box at the Rose Wagner?
Pretty, if even that. I
think 88 is.
They're closer. So, and for your shows, it probably depends on the show, but
and we have two spaces in our building. Our upstairs theater seats 160, and our chapel theater seats about 113.
Do you ever have two shows running at once?
Mm-hmm. Often, they overlap, which makes it a fun, busy time at the
more
theater.
More jobs for crews.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So. The Grand gets ZAP funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our local tax funding. Okay, so how's that? Here you are at Salt Lake Community College. I'm there too, of course. You're sort of part of our academic area, but yet you're your own nonprofit independent entity.
Yes, that's right.
You're kind of in a unique, or maybe that's advantageous place?
It is advantageous, I think, to all parties. It's very similar to the way that Pioneer is set up with the U.
Okay.
We're in a very kind of similar situation there, and I think it's advantageous to both parties. Obviously to the Grand, but also to the college and part of their outreach program, and part of the outreach component of their mission. Yeah.
Well, community college, community theater. I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and it keeps people sort of on campus and aware of the college and the mission and what we offer and what we do and things like that. So
for SLAC, do you get the ZAP funds?
We do.
And
you're tier 2 as well, right?
I think we're tier 1.
Explain what that means, tier 1, tier 2.
If you were.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we might be tier 2.
Explain what that means, tier 1, tier 2.
It's based on the size of the organizations. Am I right?
It's based on your,
that?
well, it's mainly based on your expenditures, like how much
it costs
spend
to run your place.
Yeah, how much you spend every year on your productions, on your staff, on all that kind of stuff. So tier 1 would be like Pioneer, Ballet West, the Symphony, those kind of
huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big operations, and then the Grand, SLAC, Plan B, and a couple of other smaller organizations are in tier 2.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I need to look into it because I kind of think we are tier 1 actually, but I'm not. We'll have to see. We'll have to check.
So Shannon, you've mentioned something I find really interesting, and that's using the word ecosystem to talk about theater. That here along the Wasatch Front we have a theater ecosystem.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that what a lot of people might not know or recognize about Utah and Salt Lake in particular is that we have such a healthy theater community. And what I mean by ecosystem is that we have a real variety of sizes of companies and genres of work that people specialize in, and that the artists here kind of learn and grow and come up through this kind of system that's built, which is really great, that these smaller grassroots theater companies really feed into then the Grand and SLAC and Pioneer. And
so opportunities for people who want careers, opportunities for people who just want to be in a show now and again, opportunities at the Grand and SLAC both to get equity card for people who want to be union actors?
Yeah, we are an equity theater, so we
Okay.
operate under equity contracts for all of our shows. So actors can earn their points through SLAC, and we have to have so many equity actors per show. So sometimes we'll just offer a contract if we like someone that.
How common is that here? Are you unique or in a rarity to offer equity like that?
I think it's pretty rare. I think it's us and Pioneer, and I'm not sure that Plan B, they might here and there.
Yeah, I think Plan B falls in the same category as the Grand, where we'll do guest equity contracts, but we're not an equity house. Yeah, so you can't earn like equity points for doing a show with the Grand, but we do offer equity contracts under the guest artist. And I think that's the way that Plan B does it too.
If someone auditioned and you want them for a role, they could be an equity actor, but you're not a
Yeah, and we'll offer them an equity contract,
Yeah.
and we have to go through, their reps with equity and everything, just like everybody else. But you can't earn equity points from being in one of our shows, and we don't have to have so many equity actors a season and all of that. So.
Okay. Well, you mentioned something I want to get back to after we take a break here, and this notion of the actual plays that you choose and how that affects, things like how many bodies you can put in the seats, which of course what everybody wants. So keep it tuned. We'll be back. We'll talk more about community theater on Community Roundtable. We are back on Community Roundtable talking about community theater with Seth Miller from the Grand and Shannon Musgrave from Salt Lake Acting Company. Shannon, when we left off, we were talking about, the size of theaters, and, you have 2 different stages and overlapping. Tell me about how you choose shows based on, I know you're connected with running new works, but there's plenty of new works out there. So how do you make decisions?
Well, it's a bit of a puzzle. We like to have a mix of local and national writers, like we talked about earlier. Being part of the National New Play Network, we get a lot of submissions and suggestions through new play colleagues around the country. So we go to a showcase every year hosted by the National New Play Network that does a reading of 6 new plays. And so you kind of just start to get a feel for the kind of exciting writers around the country right now. We also have, we do sort of a suite of new play development programs at SLAC. We have what's called the New Play Sounding Series, which is a reading series where we bring in the playwright and we give them a director and a cast, and they rehearse for 10 hours over a weekend, and we do a reading for our audiences, which is free, and then a talk back to see how people respond to it, what they were confused about, and sometimes the writer will make changes, and if we kind of get invested and we feel like our audience is responding well, we'll often put plays from that series onto our season. We also, it's going into its 3rd year now, we do a playwrights lab, which is a week-long, just intensive rehearsal process basically for brand new plays. And a couple of the plays that have been in our labs have made it onto our season.
So your audience, the people who show up they must be expecting this. Like you say, you're doing focus groups, so okay, but if you go to SLAC, it's like, okay, I'm going to get something new, I'm going to get something different.
Right.
I'm going to get something maybe a little edgier.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're really lucky and have worked really hard to cultivate a really strong subscriber base, which is huge, especially for a new play theater. So we have over 3,400 season subscribers, which means they buy tickets to our entire season. And you mentioned Saturday's Voyeur. That's where we do a big push for that because it's such a huge community event and it runs all summer and people know it. It's been around for 39 years. And so that's a big subscription push for us. And we say the best way to support Salt Lake Acting Company and to allow us to keep doing Saturday's Voyeur is to support us all year round and see all of the plays we do and expose yourself to something that might challenge you in a different way. And so through that, we've got a really adventurous and trusting audience that they don't even necessarily know what the plays are that they're signing up to come and see. They just know they're going on a ride.
And did I hear you correctly, 3,400? Mm-hmm. And you've only got a couple hundred seats in each of your theaters.
Yeah,
wow.
So we
Lucky
are
you.
Pretty full. I know, it's such a good problem to have, like knock on wood, I hope it continues. But we added a full week of performances for our next season because we didn't have room for single ticket buyers. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, SLAC's always done that really well, especially for you guys to be able to maintain that when the national trend is that people aren't buying season tickets.
Right.
People want events, right? I want to come and see show X or show Y.
Yeah, or they want to show up and buy a ticket, the night of, like they do at the movies. Oh, maybe I'll go see this tonight or whatever. But nationally, the trend is sort of coming away from season ticket holders. So for you guys to be able to maintain that, it's actually really impressive.
Yeah, it's a real anomaly. And a lot of theaters are moving more toward like a membership, where if you buy a membership, then you get discounts on tickets.
You get a discount when you want it. So I mean, orchestras and opera companies are doing that too, right? Because the year-long season, not so much. What about for the Grand? Do you sell season tickets?
We do. Our season subscription base is not nearly that large. But we do sell packages like to our full season, but the past probably 10 years or so, we've started offering kind of similar to the membership plan where you get like a flex pass. So you buy, a flex pass for this much money and you get to pick 4 of our 7 shows or, whatever. So, and that's actually most people we've found are buying the flex passes more than the actual season subscriptions because people do just want to pick and choose. And I also think that people, I don't know if they think their lives are more full these days or they actually are, but people don't feel like they want to commit to something that far out.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah.
Huh.
So
how do you go about picking shows? Because I know you do like a traditional straight play in the spring. You used to always do something special for Black History Month. I don't know about this coming year, but I mean, you have kind of a mix and match kind of season, it seems to me often.
Yeah, we try to do shows that will appeal to sort of a broad audience, right? We're different that way than SLAC, where you guys have sort of your niche that you've worked really hard to cultivate for a long time. We try to do stuff that's sort of appealing to everybody. So we'll usually do 2 like big musicals a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. We still do our American Classic series, which we're one of the only theater companies around that's doing that. Pioneer will do one, I think, about every other season. They'll do an American Classic, but the Grand is one of the only theater companies that does one every season. This year it's Streetcar Named Desire that'll go on in March. So last year was Picnic, and so we always do that, and then we try to pick something that's a little bit different for our February slot that's part of our Backstage at the Grand series. So last year it was Last 5 Years. That's a little bit more of it's definitely more a contemporary show and a little bit more on the, I wouldn't call it edgy, but a lot of our population seemed to think it was edgy. So
compared to something else.
Yeah.
So Backstage at the Grand, tell me about that. That's something that, I mean, I've seen shows Backstage at the Grand, but for people who aren't familiar, what is that?
It's really a fun idea. We have some seating risers that we've bought, and you actually sit on the stage on the apron there. It's a much more intimate experience. It's actually kind of similar to the experience you would have at SLAC. It's a very intimate space, and it allows us to do some shows that we're not ever going to sell 1,100 seats for, and we can't do a production on that scale and make it worth it. And it's a different experience for our audience. Everybody enters in backstage, so you sort of get kind of a behind-the-scenes feel. But a lot of people, backstage is something that they are intrigued about and have never really seen. So it's kind of a behind-the-scenes look. It also, the way that the seating is set up and the lighting and everything, it has almost like a cabaret kind of feel. So we've had a lot of success with it. People love it.
I mean, I want to say 75 or 100 seats, maybe?
150.
Oh, bigger than I thought, so okay.
We actually, our stage is ridiculously big, so we can fit a lot of people on the apron.
I mean, you're working with a stage that was a high school stage in 1935 or whatever. I mean, that's huge what you have.
Yeah, it is. But back when the theater was built, it's different than the way they build high school theaters today, because in the 20s when this building was built, the high school theaters really served as one of the main sources of entertainment for the community. So they really invested in them a lot more than I think they do today, because they're not relying on high school musicals to be one of the main sources of entertainment for the community like they were back then.
I mean, high schools today, it's probably you're in the gym, right?
Yeah. It depends on the
budget and the area, but still, it's not like, I can't imagine anybody wanting to pay for a high school theater that would look like the Grand.
Yeah.
That'd be insane. Yeah. So, all right. When we come back, I want to talk some more about maybe the future and what you've got going on, what people can look forward to in your seasons this year.
Sure.
Great.
And we'll be back with more Community Roundtable, and we'll continue talking about community theater. We are back on Community Roundtable talking about community theater with a good group of people, with Seth and Shannon. So, Shannon, at Salt Lake Acting Company, your season, I mean, new plays, local, national new plays. We said a little bit edgier, but for the coming months, what can people come and see?
Well, right now we've got Winter by Julie Jensen, who is a local playwright and has been in residence with us at Salt Lake Acting Company for many years. And it's a real local story. It's based on a short story by a local author, starring Ann Collimore Decker, who is a local treasure. And so it really it's almost sold out, so I am happy about that, but it's like kind of pointless to talk about it because we might not have tickets. And then also something I haven't mentioned yet that SLAC has been doing since 2009 is one children's play per year, and that always happens in the month of December. So this year we're doing The Diary of a Worm, Spider, and a Fly, and it's always based on a book. We have partnerships with local libraries and elementary schools, and we have a program called the Title I Arts Education Program, where we bring in Title I elementary schools to see the plays for free, which is really great. It's often kids who have never been in a theater before, and it's a really cool thing to get to watch them experience that. And then in the spring we have a new play by Kathleen Cahill, who's also a local writer, called Harbor Gate. It's about female veterans. And in April we have Hand to God, which is a really funny, outrageous, edgy comedy that was on Broadway, and we'll be producing it here. And it's actually, I think, the most produced play of this season.
It's the new hot,
country.
the new hot
the
play.
New hot play.
Huh, very good.
And then, of course, Voyeur in the summer.
Right, that'll be back in the summer yet again. 40th year?
41st,
39th?
This is going to be the 39th.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Lucky you to have that.
Yes.
Last season was Climbing with Tigers. Was that your children's show for the year?
That was an add-on. So that was sort of a special addition to our season, and it was a co-production with Flying Bobcat, which is a local theater company, but they don't have their own space. One of those that we had talked about, and had this really great idea for a kids' play that they wanted a partner with, and it turned out to be a really great.
It was a great show. It really was.
Yeah,
it was,
thanks.
Yeah.
And you all go see each other's shows, see what the competition's doing, I presume?
When we can.
try to, yeah.
It's hard to get out there.
There's always so much going on too.
Well, and I feel like we're, talking about the theater community ecosystem. I feel like I don't really feel like we compete with each other very much. I mean, everybody has their sort of, things that they do, and I feel like we support each other a lot. Like, we'll call up Slack sometimes when hey, do you have this prop or set piece? And I know you guys do the same. And even with some of the bigger, like the opera, Utah Opera is really great about letting us rent or borrow stuff from them when we need to. I don't know really if it's the same across the country, but I feel pretty lucky that we all really support each other. It doesn't feel like a competition kind of a thing.
You're not robbing from each other because you're not doing the same kind of work.
Yeah, we all kind of do different things.
Right. And I would just add that I think cultivating a theater audience in a community is good for all the theater companies.
It benefits all of us. Yeah.
So if people are going to theater, wherever they're going to theater, it's good for
I totally agree.
Oh, okay. So I have a question. I was reading about the new Eccles downtown, the huge elephant in the room everywhere, and they sell food that you can take into the theater, including beer in sippy cups, which, okay, to me, I don't really want to go see a play and have it be like Broovies, right? That's not really my idea of fine theater, but you all do that, right? You have cabaret seating for some of your shows.
For Saturday's Voyeur, it's cabaret style, so people bring in food and drink. And actually, at theaters around the country, it's really common to sell beer and wine and take it into the theater.
Especially wine, but beer as well.
Yeah, and so I think, here our liquor laws are so crazy. We get 12 special event licenses per year so that we can sell it on the weekends when we're not doing Voyeur. But you have to buy them as special event licenses. And so there are a lot of hoops you have to jump through. So
Eccles is not alone then allowing food in. I mean, it's like a movie theater now. That just is weird to me, and maybe I'm just too old. The Grand, you can take water in?
You can take water. And for us, it's more of a, it is the upkeep and things like that, but it's also, we find it more distracting during our shows when you hear somebody sitting next to you that's trying to dig the last Skittle out of the bag, and you're trying to watch what's going on stage. And so it's distracting for other people, and there is just the maintenance factor of we don't have a budget to be able to scrape gum out of the carpet every night or clean up, whatever that's been spilled.
Good point.
We do allow it for Sundance. So if you come to a Sundance film at the Grand, you can bring in whatever.
But it's a movie audience, so you'd expect that to have your popcorn or your jujubes or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But in fairness, you do have brand new, really cool carpet, so I can understand the hesitancy with beer in sippy cups and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, the alcohol is a completely different story for us too, because we're on the community college campus. It's a state institution, so.
But still, it seems to me that's evolving or changing the way people interact with theater. I mean, to me, it would just be odd. You talked about Streetcar Named Desire, so you're yelling, Stella, Stella, and then somebody's, trying to get their M&Ms out of the bag. It just seems weird to me.
Yeah, it takes away from it a little bit.
So, for each of you, we only got a couple minutes left. How long have you been at SLAC?
I've been there, I started in 2008, so how long ago was that? 8 years? About 8 years.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of jobs there. I started actually in the box office, and then I was on the marketing team for a while, and the executive assistant, and then I went away to grad school for a couple of years, and then came back 2 years ago as associate artistic director.
And is working at a theater sort of like owning a boat where you always want a bigger one?
Well, it's interesting. We were talking about this, that SLAC is in such a great position right now, and it's just all really working for the size we are, but there's always that impulse to grow, or to like, what's the next step and what do we do next? And so yeah, I think it's a balance. You don't want to outgrow or like go too big, but
Well, and as far as that goes, I don't know a lot of theaters that wish they had a bigger, I guess that's not true. But one thing, we may all be sort of content with the size of stage that we have or whatever, but one thing that we all clamor for and would want more of is storage space. Like, I don't know a theater in the country that wouldn't want more storage space. That's the biggest thing for us. I'm fine with the size of our house. Actually, sometimes I feel like it's too big. And our stage is great, but I would kill for more storage space.
Right. Interesting. And how long have you been at the Grand? Quite a while.
April will be 10 years, that I've been there, so a little while. When I started, I was the technical director, and then sort of just acquired more duties: associate producer, executive producer, and now my current.
That's true. Is that typical? Start and work your way up. I mean, you've each worked at other theaters a little bit, so jump around, but you both seem pretty happy where you are now.
Yeah. I think it is pretty common to, once you find a place you love, that you kind of stick there and grow your way up.
Well, and in all fairness, you're in this market, which is just kind of theater heaven.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So 30 seconds left, real quickly, for people who want tickets or want to know more information about Salt Lake Acting Company. Where do we send them?
Yeah, we've got a great website, saltlakeactingcompany.org, and our box office is 801-363-7522.
And for folks who've never seen a show there, you're in an old church?
We are, an old Mormon church, which is
it's a cool little venue.
Ironic, yes.
Yeah, considering some of your plays, mildly ironic.
Yes, exactly.
And for the Grand, to find out more?
Go to thegrandtheatercompany.com, or you can call our box office, which is 801-957-3022.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
When something amazing happens, come back and talk again?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is probably every season. Very good.
We hope so.
Season.
So Shannon Musgrave, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Seth Miller, thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Community Roundtable. If you have a comment, or you have a question, or maybe you have an idea for a show, get in touch. roundtable@slcctv.com. And you can find all our episodes online, slcctv.com. I'm Nick Burns. Keep it tuned. SLCC TV.